Hello and welcome to the Rise Centre in Amsterdam on this, the first day of IBC 2011. You're watching the show's own television programme. We'll be here each day at the same time to bring you news and features from around the 13 exhibition halls, plus stories from the wider broadcast industry. In today's programme, green light for growth, how broadcast companies are climbing out of the recession. We hear James Cameron's vision for the future.
To enable everybody, whether it's in broadcast or motion pictures, to achieve their 3D dreams.
And all in the can, but will it survive? The challenge of preserving historic film. It's a tough time for industry, and ours is no exception. But latest research suggests that broadcasters and the companies that serve them are well placed to survive and even prosper in the face of global recession. As more than 40,000 delegates head for IBC, a new report by the IABM forecasts steady growth for at least the next 4 years. Andrew Kerr has our opening report.
The green shoots of recovery seem to be in evidence at IBC. The lawn is at the Grass Valley stand. They've been cultivating their business for over 50 years. Senior figures here believe there are opportunities to be seized.
One piece I would say that's really the growth part of our industry is in emerging markets, where as their economies have improved, they're really investing in really first-class infrastructures in that. And so really the companies that are more global and that can access that market are really doing well.
The devastating tsunami in Japan earlier this year and the global economic downturn has meant a challenging time. But the latest snapshot of the broadcasting world from IABM indicates a steady upward trend in global market valuation.
There's a good feeling, although the overall global economy is pretty depressed and we're seeing downgrading forecasts in terms of overall GDP growth almost globally. Our industry, because of 2012, because of the Olympics, because of the Euros and presidential elections, we're seeing a buoyancy and a bounce out of recession.
Construction work continues apace here in Hall 1. The finishing touches are being put to some very impressive stands, and exhibitors are keen to stress that confidence in the industry is building up.
We are hoping we are having many visitors coming to our digital home here. We build a really new, nice design here with new products.
It's not like it used to be like 2 years ago. I think the recession, at least for this industry, is kind of over.
Well, I think this year hopefully will be an improvement on last year. I think last year was quite a bad year for the industry. I do believe this year will pick up. It's been picking up from a sales point of view.
But it can be hard to keep up with a rapidly changing business, with the shift to portable devices a key theme. So what does that mean for the more traditional companies?
I think it's a question of opportunity. There's new markets for consumers, there's new devices, there's new ways of presenting materials, there's new editing required, and there's spin-off effects with applications developers and software. And there's a realization by those that are out there making the content that they have to be aware of this, they have to invest in new devices. So it's a positive thing for the economy and it's positive for consumers as well.
When these stands are complete, they will be hotspots for buying and selling. It appears that this year, innovation seems to be accelerating growth.
You're watching IBC TV News. Well, the exhibition doesn't open until 10:30 this morning, but the IBC conference began yesterday. The opening keynote session was simply entitled The Future of Broadcasting. Quite a wide topic. Competition from new platforms was top of the agenda, and our reporter John Willets joined delegates in the Forum Theatre.
We don't see this revolution as a world of threats and worries. We see it as a kind of world of opportunities.
The broadcast industry is changing fast. For some, that means a testing time to come. But at yesterday's debate on the future of broadcasting, there was an upbeat mood. The CEO of BBC Worldwide, John Smith, joined former chairman of Britain's Channel 4, Luke Johnson, and recently retired MTV chief executive William Rodey on the stage to discuss what the future holds.
It's on demand, it's PVRs, it's smart TVs, it's tablets, iPads, smartphones, and the rest. And, you know, it used to be, gosh, you know, we'll bring the world to your living room, and now it's we'll bring the world to your pocket.
A changing industry, of course, means new challenges for those in charge. No surprise then, perhaps, that this summit is being held to discuss exactly what's needed from today's broadcast leaders.
You need people who understand and relate to what's happening in those markets to ensure that you can be the very, very best on your core device and then bring your content to all those other devices, the tablets, the PCs, the smartphones that are out there in the, that are now the ecology of broadcasting.
You got to be on every platform, and you can't fight the technology, you have to harness it. There are issues, you know, particularly with advertising-supported channels that are not rated on all platforms. And with PVRs, you skip the commercial. So, you know, there's challenges, but basically the consumer is not going to stand for anything less.
So the message is that there's plenty of work to be done, but there's positivity about the future.
Am I optimistic about the future? You bet. Do I see more opportunities than challenges? Of course. Have I all the answers? No way. But we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun finding them.
Now let's have a look at what's in the conference programme today. First up, in the Emerald Room, there's a look at changes in viewing habits. As mobile devices gain ground, will passive TV watching become a thing of the past? We'll need to be quick to catch this discussion. It runs from 8 o'clock to 9:15. And at the same time, in room E102, the keynote comes from Peter White of the IABM. He's giving a rundown on the latest sales research and analysing current trends. A panel discussion will follow, and this is one of IBC's popular added value sessions. At 9:30 in the forum, Facebook Vice President Joanna Shields is giving a keynote address. She's been a driving force in the social media. Incidentally, because of her privacy settings, we couldn't find out how many Facebook friends she's got herself. And later in the forum, social networking remains under the spotlight as panelists discuss how Facebook and Twitter are changing the way news is covered. This is a fascinating debate, and we'll have a report on it in tomorrow's programme. It starts at 11. Moving to the afternoon, and still in the forum, the subject is the radio spectrum policy. It's a scarce resource, the radio spectrum. Broadcasters need lots of it for HD TV. But telecoms operators want a slice too. That session's at 1:30. And finally, back to the subject of privacy. As people are encouraged to provide more personal information, what should our industry be doing to safeguard their rights? That's at 3:30 in room E102. You're watching IBC TV News. Now, in case you're here for the first time, here are some things you should know. First of all, travel. Registered visitors can get a free tram pass to explore the city. You can collect it from any of the show's information points. Make sure you visit Connected World. It brings together companies and technologies involved with new delivery platforms and all types of mobile devices. You'll find the Connected World in Hall 13. Also, take a look at the training zone. It's grown quite a lot this year, and you can get hands-on experience with editing software from Apple, Avid and Adobe. And there's a new feature at IBC this year, the Leaders Summit.
We looked around the industry and we asked some questions about the way it was going. Two things came out. Firstly, there seemed to be a shift from just best-of-breed technology towards the business of broadcasting, so people were interested in what's happening with the value of their assets from the technology and how they could use it best. And secondly, the rise of the consumer and how their choice was affecting things. So we saw an opportunity to bring the leaders of the industry over to IBC to debate how that would unfold for them in the future.
IBC's Mike Cripp. Time now for a roundup of news from around the industry. Here's Natasha Saeed.
Thanks, Rob. Miranda Technologies has won a large contract from NBC Universal to supply routing systems across the US. The first phase is to upgrade its main facility in New York. A new signal management system will be based on Miranda's Envision 8500 hybrid router.
NBC right now has obviously very large routing requirements, and as they were moving to the next generation of their production, which requires a lot more content creation, they needed a new routing platform that would allow them to expand over the next years to come.
System integrator TSL has completed the second phase of the technical install at the new BBC Centre in Manchester, England. The work included equipping Studio HQ3 to handle multi-format sports coverage. They've also installed 8 HD edit suites. Leading 3D technology supplier 3Reality Digital has completed the acquisition of Element Technica, which makes motorised 3D camera rigs. They're currently being used on the set of Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. And finally, for now, some of those attending this year's event have been peddling their green credentials. The team set out from IBC's headquarters in London to cycle 300 miles to the Rye Centre, raising money for the Vision charity. They were in the saddle for 19 hours.
Absolutely wonderful to know that not only have you gone and achieved something that you can dine out on for years, but you're actually doing great things for children who are blind at the same time.
I wonder how they'll get their bikes home. I doubt if they'll be riding.
Now, at this IBC show, the growth of 3D is once again much in evidence. What's more, the biggest name in 3D cinema is paying his first visit to the show. James Cameron is here with business partner Vince Pace to talk about their venture. The Cameron Pace Group develops and supplies 3D production kit. They want to make it accessible to filmmakers on all budgets and see television particularly as a huge growth area. Well, here's the great man collecting his IBC pass, just like everyone else has to. He'll be here right through the weekend. And yesterday I spoke to the partners and I began by asking Cameron about his vision for the company.
We want to provide the services, the hardware, the software, to enable everybody, whether it's in broadcast or motion pictures, to achieve their 3D dreams without a lot of, fuss and muss and extra expense. So we really want to be enablers. We want other people to be able to do 3D. We don't want to come in and tell them what they can and cannot do. We want to let them be creative and do what they do best.
And what are you announcing here at IBC?
Well, I think the biggest announcement is that we're gonna start to introduce those solutions into the global community that we've been concentrating on in the domestic U.S.-based community. So, everybody knows we started out in the cinema world and concentrating on that, and through that process we started to embrace the broadcast world. And a lot of the solutions that we were working on for 3D translated well between the two communities. But then we started to bifurcate into solutions that work for broadcasts as well as getting traction in the cinema world. Now, what's the big focus for us in IBC is that growth of those models that we've been working with ESPN, CBS, into the global community.
Is TV a difficult medium for 3D? Okay, it's being introduced more and more, but does television really suit 3D?
Oh, I think absolutely. I think when you see these beautiful 40 and 50 and 55-inch sets, even though you still have the active glasses, which eventually will move beyond, but even now I think the images are so spectacular. There's no consumer that sees them that doesn't want to have more and more programming in 3D. The problem is there just isn't enough programming.
You developed Fusion 3D, what, 12 years ago? What are the key differences with the current system?
Well, I think that the automation of the process is really what's being focused on now. And what that does for us in the broadcasting community is allow us to get the cost down and, get the opportunity level up.
So if I'm a program maker and I want to use your kit, I mean, do I hire it? Do I buy it? How does it work?
For right now, the rental model makes the most sense. And frankly, a lot of people have run out and bought low-cost 3D systems, and then a year later they're completely obsolete. But we're also going to be introducing a product line for broadcast that you can purchase, because we think we're coming up on a plateau where things are going to stabilize for a while in the technology.
James Cameron and Vince Pace here at IBC. They'll be giving a masterclass on 3D in the auditorium at 4 this afternoon. And on Monday's show, James will be here again to talk about the remastering of Titanic in 3D. Now, it's one of the industry's biggest regrets. Millions of rolls of film are fading away in archives across the world, and much of it now seems destined to be lost forever. Graham Bowd reports.
Rusting away in a cellar, a pile of film canisters. Whatever they contain will soon be lost, and with it a fragment of movie history. It's a familiar story. More than half the films made before 1950 no longer exist, including 90% of American silent movies. But it doesn't have to be this way. Mark Rance is a leading film expert. His London facility specialises in high-end restorations. This is Nosferatu, a 1922 version of Dracula. After months of painstaking work, it looks as good as new. Here's what they had to work with.
It has been reconstructed, and the reconstruction is composed of any kind of element they could find to get the most complete version of the movie. The archivist who did this reconstruction, it was a masterstroke just to get the best version they could. So what you see here is a film that will jump in gauge from 35 to 16, varying degrees of damage, all kinds of damage from mold to simple scratches and dust. Registration issues and stability issues all over the place, as you can see there. It just moves around.
Once I'd stabilised and deflickered the image, I was then able to utilise the best of the automated procedures which the software had to offer. And then the next stage on from that would be then just hand painting frame by frame over the entire duration of the feature.
Here at IBC you can find many powerful tools for restoring film, but Rance says the most important step is capturing the image. Telly Cine seldom gets the best out of the original media. He uses a GoldenEye-free film scanner from Image Systems, which can handle all common film formats at 2K or 4K resolution.
One of the things that good scans do is they make the tactile quality of the film just pop. When you get that, the feeling of the cloth, the texture and the detail in the distance, that takes you into the scene in a way that makes you really want to explore whatever it is that they're talking about in the film.
Sadly, economics dictate that only the most valuable footage will get such high-end treatment. But Rance says the whole industry should recognise the need to preserve its heritage.
It's our responsibility as commercial entities to solve that problem. There's no choice, you should just scan it. And then later, as the tools for restoration become both more accessible and more powerful, deal with that image that you've acquired. And you can rely on the fact that the original acquisition, which is the one thing that needs to be done right now, is valid for the next 20, 30, 40 years. This film is not vinegar yet, but I can smell it and I can see, it won't be long before it is. Photochemical film just has a lifespan. It's organic material. And the point of it being is that sooner or later it will disappear.
Mark Rance ending that report on film restoration. Well, that's all from us for now. I hope you'll do some good business here at IBC. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Join us then.
In Amsterdam, the morning will be cloudy with patches of sun and the high will be 21 degrees. Later in the day, the temperatures will be holding steady, but there will be rain, which continues into the evening, and it'll be much cooler, dropping to 17 degrees. For the weekend, some rain is predicted every day. On Saturday, temperatures reach 25 degrees, but return to around 21 on Sunday.